Let's all stand.
Please proceed.
Admission of lawyers. Sophie Claire Afaras.
May it please the Court, I move that my daughter, Sophie Claire Afaras, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sophie Claire Afaras be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Lachlan Apps.
May it please the Court, I move that Lachlan Apps be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Lachlan Apps be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Andrea Dario Cavana.
May it please this court, I move that Andrea Dario Cavana be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Andrea Dario Cavana be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Christy Rachel Chaco.
May it please the Court, I move that Christy Rachel Chaco be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Christy Rachel Chaco be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Michelle Chloe Dennis.
May it please the Court, I move that Michelle Dennis be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Michelle Chloe Dennis be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Greta Gale.
May it please the Court, I move that Greta Gale be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Greta Gale be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Adam Mohammed Kadra.
May it please the Court, I move that Adam Mohammed Kadra be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Adam Mohammed Kadra be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Karyan Laurie Mack.
May it please the Court, I move that Kayan Laurie Mack be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Kayen Laurie Mack be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Amalia Adelaide Mirabito.
May it please the Court, I move that Amalia Adelaide Mirabito be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Amalia Adelaide Mirabito be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Alex Peng Hai Kwek.
May it please the Court, I move that Alex Peng Hai Kwek be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Alex Penhai Kwek be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Rachel Rodriguez.
May it please the Court, I move that Rachel Rodriguez be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Rachel Rodriguez be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Omar Vincent Rodriguez.
May it please the court, I move that Omar Vincent Rodriguez be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Omar Vincent Rodriguez be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Emily Caroline Sharp.
May it please the Court, I move that Emily Caroline Sharp be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Emily Carolyn Sharp be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Eleanor Ruth Wall.
May it please the Court, I move that Eleanor Ruth Wall be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Eleanor Ruth Wall be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Bonan Zia.
May it please the Court, I move that Bonan Sia be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Bowman Sia be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Andrina Youssef.
May it please the Court, I move that my daughter Andrina Youssef be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Andrina Youssef be admitted as a lawyer of this court. It will be necessary for the purpose of an oath or an affirmation for all those being admitted today to stand up, but please remain in their current places.
Sophie Claire Afaras. Lachlan Apps. Andrea Dario Cavana. Christy Rachel Chaco. Michelle Chloe Dennis. Greta Gale. Adam Mohammed Kadra. Kayan Laurie Mack. Amalia Adelaide Mirabito, Alex Kinghai Quek, Rachel Rodriguez, Omar Vincent Rodriguez, Emily Carolyn Sharp, Eleanor Ruth Wall, Bonan Zia, Andrina Youssef. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"?
Thank you. Please be seated. Now that the formal part of the proceedings has ended, I would like to warmly welcome those present and those watching on the live stream to the Supreme Court of New South Wales. I'm Justice Payne of the Court of Appeal. Present with me on the bench today is Justice Stevenson to my right, who is a judge of the Equity Division, and Justice Williams to my left, who is also a judge of the Equity Division. Together, we constitute the court that has, in exercise of its jurisdiction, admitted you to practice. As we gather here today, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Saying those words is important. It means that we recognise the long-standing and enduring customs and traditions of Australia's First Nations and acknowledge with deep regret the role that our legal system has had in perpetrating many injustices against Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. To all of the new lawyers here today, welcome to the legal profession. Today's a day for celebration. You've all worked extremely hard to get here through caffeine-fuelled nights and obscure problem questions, reading countless wafer-thin pages of textbooks and more cases than you can ever hope to remember. You've entered the world of eggshell skulls, encountered the mysterious reasonable person, and have understood that the Constitution consists of even more than the vibe. In becoming a lawyer, you've today joined a centuries-old profession with ancient origins. The custom of advocates swearing an admissions oath dates back to the 12th century. The New South Wales Supreme Court first admitted lawyers to practice in 1824, and by 1830, the names of lawyers were entered onto rolls in this state. You've each become now part of this tradition, almost 200 years later. Perhaps for some of you, or your family and friends at least, that is how long it feels like you've been studying. For many of you, the support of your family and friends has been invaluable. No doubt, they have often been on the receiving end of your finely polished skills of argument and persuasion. I encourage you all to take the time today to thank them. The oath or affirmation that you've made today is a serious one and deserves solemn regard. Whether you work in private practice, at the bar, in a community legal centre, or in an entirely different field, you should be known for your honesty, your integrity, and your commitment to justice. It's in acknowledgement of this weighty responsibility that we observe today's unique formalities, including the moving of lawyers, the swearing of oaths or affirmations, and even our unusual ceremonial robes. However, although we mark this occasion with formality and tradition, not everything in the legal profession remains unchanging. You'll be unsurprised to hear that last year we had to adapt quite a bit. COVID-19 meant a rapid shift to increased use of virtual courtroom setups and technology to ensure access to justice continued in the midst of a pandemic. Although the New South Wales Supreme Court remained open throughout, things didn't always go smoothly, as those with me on the bench can attest. There have been real difficulties to grapple with in terms of open justice, effective communication, and fairness to participants. And occasionally, a lawyer appearing in this court might even get stuck behind a Zoom filter, although thankfully, as far as I'm aware, not one involving a kitten. But for all of the challenges we faced, the impetus is greater than ever before to prioritise flexibility and accessibility. Better use of technology and increased working from home arrangements have profound implications for how our legal system interacts with many people, including those in rural or remote areas, those with a disability, medical conditions, or carers' responsibilities. As the newest members of the profession, you're at the forefront of innovation in the law and have a unique opportunity to see through changes so that justice is done openly and equitably. There are, of course, other changes that deserve attention. When we think of the diversity of the legal profession, whilst we've come very far, much still needs to be done. Though women were originally not permitted to practice, since 2018, women have made up more than half of all solicitors with a practising certificate in New South Wales and currently make up 63% of solicitors under the age of 30. Women occupy many of the most senior positions in the law, including, of course, the Chief Justice of Australia. However, women continue to face challenges of representation, including amongst judges of this court and amongst barristers in speaking roles before the High Court. It's heartening to see that the local court of New South Wales has almost achieved gender parity amongst magistrates, but we must not be complacent about these issues. There are other notable diversity concerns that we must face head-on. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and people from diverse cultural backgrounds continue to be alarmingly underrepresented in the legal profession, particularly within the judiciary and the ranks of senior counsel. We must be alert to barriers to the profession for people from less privileged backgrounds. The law should not be a profession for the wealthy. The idea that students may be dissuaded from studying law by the cost of a law degree or because of other systemic issues is troubling. We will only achieve a truly diverse profession when barriers to advancement are broken down and people from different backgrounds are properly supported in a collegiate and inclusive environment free from harassment and discrimination. These issues are fundamental to a just and transparent legal system and to the legitimacy of the rule of law. We need diverse representation amongst advocates and judges so that all people who become involved in our justice system can see that the system reflects our broader community. In this respect, I'm heartened by the work of those traditionally underrepresented members of the legal profession who connect with one another, support law students and young professionals and engage with the wider profession, such as, for example, the Muslim Legal Network here in Sydney. Despite these challenges, there is a real scope for change. There is a far greater diversity of background amongst junior lawyers than those that have been around for as long as me. And you only need to look around this courtroom and at the paintings on the wall to see that this is so. You're in a unique position as new lawyers who are entering the profession at a time when, more than ever, your words and actions are having an impact for good. You're being heard and taken seriously when you agitate to correct injustices, whether it's speaking out about unsustainable working cultures, sexual harassment or bullying within the profession, unfair laws, or systemic failings affecting our society's most vulnerable. I urge you to continue to speak up for things that matter. You are the future of the profession, and that will steer the direction it will take. As a lawyer, you will also need to make difficult ethical decisions at times. With regard to our personal characteristics, lawyers have been the butt of jokes for centuries. Some would say, of course, that there are only a handful of lawyer jokes and the rest is documented to true stories. Jokes aside, you must use the tools you've developed to think critically and not compromise on your fundamental duties to the court and the administration of justice and the other ethical duties you must uphold. Now that you are lawyers, you can get paid to argue instead of just arguing for free. Of course, there's a lot more to it than that. You are an advisor, a problem solver, a mediator, and an advocate for the marginalised. As you go about your day-to-day work, remember that you're not merely dealing with the law in a vacuum, but law as it applies to people's lives. For this reason, you must strive to deliver legal services competently and fearlessly, with courtesy and integrity. Remember that in dealing with legal cases, you are dealing with other people's lives. Justice Gageler, before he was a High Court judge, once said, "You must be prepared to give the same answer to the same questions for the same reasons, no matter who asks the question or for what purpose or in what context the asking may occur. This is foundational to upholding the rule of law. For those of you who will practice law, the way you communicate information to others will have profound consequences for access to justice. For a non-lawyer, law is often incomprehensible. One of your roles as a lawyer will be to make law accessible to others, sometimes by deciphering legal complexities, other times by deciphering poor legal drafting, and sometimes both. One thing you will regrettably strike throughout your career is legislation which seems carefully crafted with the object of ensuring that no one can understand it. Your task is not just to understand it, but to explain it clearly to those whose rights and interests are affected by it. As lawyers, we must not keep the law locked up as something knowable only to us. We must come down from the ivory tower. A client reading your advice should be empowered to understand your meaning, not mystified and confused. So, be clear and concise, both in writing and speaking. Plain English is powerful. Consider, do I really need to say aforementioned or herewith? Must I sprinkle in a Latin phrase? Should I really use double negatives, tautologies and wordy clauses that take up a whole page? The answer to these questions is almost always no. The best advocates can make their points simply and succinctly. Some of the most experienced lawyers and judges could also use that reminder. I also want to speak today about failure. I would not be surprised if there are quite a few overachievers and perfectionists in the room today. Even so, at various points in your career, you will make mistakes, some minor, some more serious. When you do make mistakes, your commitment to honesty, integrity and the administration of justice means that you must take responsibility, correct what you can, and learn from your errors. You must fail at times in order to grow. I myself have made many mistakes over the year, too many to remember. What is important is you try not to make the same mistake twice. Finally, I want to emphasise that your mental health is extremely important. This may sound unexpected in a happy ceremony such as today, but the law is not everything. There may be times when you feel overwhelmed, burnt out or distressed. If you do, you should not be afraid to seek professional help or to take a step back when you need to. Also remember that the law is a collegiate profession, and in times of difficulty, the support of your peers will prove invaluable. Don't hesitate to ask. On behalf of all the judges of the Supreme Court, I once again congratulate you on your admission and welcome you to the legal profession. The court will now adjourn.
All stand.